I'm not able to unmute it, Rashmi.
Malcolm, ma'am? Shreya?
Yes, can you all hear?
Yes, ma'am. We are able to hear you, ma'am.
Can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, yeah. So good morning to all the faculty members and students of Department of Commerce, Shazun Jain College for Women. I'm very glad to deliver a lecture for today's session about research orientation. So I must really appreciate the department for organizing this program for UG students. Usually this kind of program will be initiated for the MPhil and PhD scholars, but this program is being organized for the UG students. So it is really very good to hear, and the UG students will be molded to do research. So I take this opportunity to thank the head of the department and the team of faculty members for organizing a very good program, and also to my student Mary, Dr. Mary Diana, to invite me, and thank you all once again. So let's move on to the PPT. So can you all see the PPT clearly? And is my voice clear? Just any one of you kindly respond and tell me so that I will continue with my lecture.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, thank you. So the topic, your teachers, your faculty members said that it's about research orientation. So the lecture what I'm going to give today is about, I'll classify my lecture into two divisions actually. So one section of my research will be about overview about research. So I will be giving an overview about research and then about how to write a research paper. So this is how I've classified my lecture. So first, let me just give you an overview about research, and next part of my lecture, I will tell you how you have to write a research paper. So first, what is research? I think all of you will know what is a research. So research is a careful and detailed study into a specific problem or an issue. So you want to study something in a very important problem you're taking or important issue you're taking, no? So you have to do a careful research. So research is a careful and detailed study. So if you want to study about a certain problem, you have to do a research. So what is research actually? See, it has two words, read and search. So read is doing again and again and again. And search, as you all know, you examine something, you closely, carefully watch something and gather information. So the important word in this is read. That is again and again and again. See, you have to read again and again and again. You have to collect proper data. So all this is very important in research. So that is all about research. So research. So again, what is the exact meaning of research is a careful investigation you will do. So about finding a new facts. See, you cannot do the same thing which has been undertaken by some other person. So that will become a copied one, that will become a plagiarism. So what you have to do, you have to find out something new facts. So something new you will be finding out. So that is what is all about research. Okay, so characteristic features, when you talk about research, what is that features we can say here is research is nothing but a process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting the information. So how you collect all the data, how you analyze it, how you analyze the data, and how you interpret those data are very, very important in research. Okay, so what are the characteristics? So when you want to do a good research, what characteristic features you have is, first of all, you have to follow a very, a systematic approach should be followed. That is the first important one in your research. Systematic approach is whatever is given, like how first you have to collect the data, what is the topic, like that you have a systematic thing to be followed. So first you have to identify all that. Next is accurate data is very, very important. just like that, you cannot go and collect the data. See, if your teacher is telling all of you collect information about students, I mean, expenditure manner for a month, and they are telling you have to go and collect it from the commerce student. So you cannot collect it from the science student. So your teacher is telling to do it from the commerce stream, means you have to collect only from the commerce or economics or arts, humanities. So accurate data is very, very important. Now, what will happen? If you collect it from science student, then the data maybe for this particular heading, what I'm telling will be correct. But when I'm telling for some other topics, no, yeah, accuracy is not there, means then your data collected will not be giving a correct result. So that is very, very important. Then researchers need to practice ethics. So that is what I told you just now. No, you should not copy from some other research work. You should not copy from other journal. So you should not copy the work done by the other people. Code of conduct in research is very, very essential. So it should be your thought, it should be your information, the way in which you collect, everything is yours only. So you have to practice ethics. That is very, very, very important in research. Then in-depth analysis is also very important. So when you're collecting, after collecting and all that, the analysis part is very, very important. And generating new questions. So the way in which you have collected should generate a lot of new questions in it. So the same old thing when you do, no, you will not identify something what is required. So something which adds on to the new questions, that is what is very, very important. And finally, accuracy is very, very important. Accuracy, as I said earlier, no, you have to collect the information from farmers, means you must collect only from the farmers. You should not deviate it and collect it from some other people who are not engaged in farming activity and all that. That will give you a wrong information. So when is your research valuable then? So when you call your research as a valuable one is when it is valid, accurate, and reliable. So that is what is very much required for your research. So incorrect results will lead to failure. As I told you, when you are not collecting the data from the particular thing, what you are actually supposed to do, then it is a failure. It is a mere failure of your research. So that is very, very important. So as I said earlier, it is essential to ensure that your data is valid, accurate, reliable, timely, complete. So it should be a valid one. It should be an accurate one, free of errors. There should not be any error. Then reliable one, people who investigate in the same way. So whoever has done it will give us similar results out there. So the reliability should be there. Correctly, it has to be done in the time period. And then a complete one includes all data, whatever is being required for what research you are doing. Okay, coming to the next one, how do you collect it? Now you know the simple basic things I told you about research. Now, how do you collect the data is, so you collect it by the following method. I think you must have studied about this, like you do even in statistics, we study this. So you take a primary data collection and a secondary data. So primary is what? You straight away get the information from the respondents whom you want to actually address. So that is a primary data collection. So how do you collect this primary data collection? You do it with the questionnaire method and all that. So this is a primary data collection. So data is collected by the following method. One is a primary data collection. Straight away, directly you get the information. Secondary data is what you collect from journal, you collect from a book, you collect from reports, you collect from various census reports, economic survey, planning commission report. Like this, you have several things. Now you have even websites also. No? So all this will come under your secondary data collection. So this is the difference. This is a very basic thing which you will do in your research. So when your teacher is telling you all to find out Now you find out the expenditure of the student habit means straight away you ask all your students. So that will be your primary data. You want to see it from some other journal, you want to get it from some other person who has done that, that becomes a secondary data. So this is a very important and basic method first you should understand. Next is what some other miscellaneous forms of research techniques are also there. So basic research. Now, what is a basic research? It is a very, in a simplest form, it has been explained. Now, say for example, for today's lecture, yesterday I just Google searched everything. So what kind of example I can give, all that. So that is a basic research I have done. So this is a basic research. Say you want to understand about some species of animals. You want to know how many tigers are there and how many peacocks are there. So you just Google search and do it. So you don't go to a forest. You don't find out all this, right? So you don't do that as a primary and all that primary data. So you just Google search and do it. So that is called as a basic research. You do it. Next, you have a problem solving research. Now, what is a problem solving research? See, problem solving research is nothing but you have a problem, you identify what the problem is, and you provide certain solutions for it. So that is called as a problem solving research. Now, say for example, I've given a small example here. Now your motorcycle is broken, like you want to find out how to fix the part of the motorcycle and all that. So you just have to find out from a person who is doing that, or some way you find it and try to solve this problem. So this is called as a problem solving research. This is just an example. You can just think about anything else which gives a perfect example for problem solving research. Then comes the applied research also. So to analyze the data and find a solution. So you have a lot of raw data with you. Like you have some census report. Census report is so many data you have in it. So from the data you collect, you take those data, you analyze it properly and find out. So say for example, how many villages are there in Tamil Nadu. So you just take those raw data in hand and you find out like there are 15,000 villages, and then you do a research, you analyze these data, all that. That is called as an applied research. So now you know these are the basic things. You should understand the basic research, problem solving research, applied research. Now, how you can analyze the data? So data analysis, after collecting all the data, now you can analyze the data in two ways. So quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. So there are two ways in which you can analyze the data. One is quantitative, qualitative. So quantitative is what? So you can, by the name itself, you will know quantity is there. So it deals with numbers, it deals with statistics. So that is what is quantitative research. Here, all kind of statistical methods, numbers, everything will come under this particular research. What is a qualitative one? It's all deals only with words and meanings. So nothing to do with numbers here. That is the important difference between qualitative and the quantitative. So quantitative is all about numbers, statistics, all this will come. Qualitative deals with words, meanings, and all that. So why, see, research, you should understand these two terms. First, because when we talk about this, analyzing the data, these two terms are very, very important. That is why I just thought of comparing, and I thought of telling the differences between quantitative research and qualitative research. So quantitative research, as I said earlier, is analyzed through maths and statistics. So here, lot of mathematical things, because I told you, numbers will come. Anything with numbers is called as a quantitative research. So that is statistics will be applied. Qualitative is nothing to do with the numbers. You just summarize what you've written, categorize it, and interpret it. That's all. Now here, quantitative is like you will show it in a graph, you show it in a table, you show it in a numbers, trend line, so many things you will show. So that is quantitative. Qualitative is just plain, you just express everything in words, in paragraphs and all that. That's all. So qualitative, no numbers will come in this. So that is again another important difference. Quantitative is requires many respondents. Now you have to take 1,000 respondents, you take 100 respondents, you go in for quantitative. Now you take only 25 or 30 or the 50 in a class, you want to do some kind of a research. So you require few respondents to take in a qualitative. So quantitative is many respondents will be taken and qualitative is few respondents will be taken. Then quantitative, we have the closed questions. Qualitative is open-ended question. So remember, in qualitative, you ask questions which are called as open-ended, whereas here it is closed. I will give you an example between this open-ended and a closed-ended. Now see, for closed-ended, how will the questions will be for closed-ended? Now I'm asking you all, what tiffin you want to eat in the breakfast? So during breakfast time, what is the tiffin you like? So there will be options like idli, dosa, vada, pongal, or all of the above. So that kind of questions will be asked. Or sometimes, do you like to have idli for your breakfast? You will ask yes or no. People will say, some of them will say yes, some of them will say no. So this is called as closed-ended question. Now, what is the important thing about closed-ended question? Now you ask yes or you ask no, or you give the options and you ask a person. But when you don't give all this and when you ask a question to a person, that is called as an open-ended question. Now straight away you go to all the people and ask, what do you like to have in like to have during your breakfast? They will say anything, so many things they will say. Some of them will say, no, I will not have anything. Some of them will say, I want to have only Kellogg's, I want to have only oats, I want to have only fruits. So something which is not being asked here also. So open-ended is n number of answers they will give. So the are questions that allow someone to give a free form of answer. So that is open-ended. Closed-ended is you restrict your own answer. I mean, this is the answer, you provide an answer. That is the difference between closed-ended and open-ended. So qualitative is open-ended question. So you just ask the question, you leave the answer to the students. I mean, student or whoever it is. Quantitative is you give the choice, multiple choice is given and they have to select it. Okay, so qualitative is definitely it does not have the data, that's not numbers. So you don't have any numbers to be given more importance in qualitative. So how do you do a qualitative data collection? You interview some people, you take it from documents. So all this you will do. Now moving on to research problem. So when we talk about research problem is very, very important, because the first and the foremost step in a research problem is, for a researcher, is you must find a problem or an issue. I told you, no, only then you can find a solution for it. So the first and foremost step is to identify the research problems. So something, when your class teacher is telling do a research, means you all have to find out a problem. Okay, what problem is there in the economy now? What problem is there? So like that, you think over and find a problem and then you do a research. Say for example, like take a case of doctor. Now you go to a doctor and say, doctor, I have always I'm having a headache. So the doctor immediately, he will not give a tablet and all that. So he will tell you to first go in for some X-ray or some kind of a CT scan or something. He will diagnose, he will see, he will examine, he will ask you the symptoms. So when it is happening, or what are the side effects, something and all, the doctor will examine, and then only he will give the tablets. So same manner researcher must also follow. Now the researcher should see what kind of problem, how to analyze it. So just like a doctor, the researcher also should analyze everything and then only to take up the research. So research problem. So identification is very, very important. As I told you, you identify a problem, then you do a review of literature, then you give specify the purpose for doing this particular research. Then you collect the data. As I told you, you do a primary data, you do a secondary data, whatever it is. Then after collecting the data, you analyze the data, you interpret the data, and then you give an evaluation report. And then this is what is a research problem. This is how you do your entire research. So this is a very, very important slide. So you identify a research problem, you give a thorough review of literature. I will tell you how you have to do a review of literature when we are doing the paper, how to write a research paper. There I will tell you. So this is how you do it. Now I'll show you step by step. You identify a subject area, then you define identification, whatever it is, then literature review, selection of design, research design, data collection techniques. So what kind of data, primary data, secondary data, all that, gathering the data, then you process, you analyze your data, then you find the implications and conclusion with the help of findings, and then publish, communicate the results. So this is the important steps you should know when you are doing your research. So selecting a research problem is very, very important. As I told you, a real issue to be taken, a very important research in research is you have to select a very important issue. That is very, very important. So sometimes subject that has been overdone should not be chosen. Many of them would have done the same thing, like job satisfaction, some subjects like that. No, you should not take such kind of a research. So then, no, you cannot find something new in it. So something which is not being done by others, you can take. So you have to throw a new light to a subject. That is what is very, very important. So following points may be observed while selecting a research problem. So overdone work should not be done. So people generally should not do. And you can avoid controversial subjects. So controversial is what? Something in our country, something related to caste, something related to terrorism, religion, all this kind of a issue can be avoided while you're doing your research, because it's all controversial. So don't take up any controversial subjects and all that. Then too narrow or too vague problems should be avoided. Data availability should be there. Whatever issue you're taking, make sure that you find enough data for that. Otherwise, there's no point in taking a particular subject which has no data. So the techniques involved in defining a problem is statement of the problem. So that is very, very important. So start with a broad way and then narrow it down. Don't give a broader aspect of your research problem. Don't go in for a broad topic and all that. So you always should narrow your topic. That is very, very important. You can also do a small pilot survey. So pilot survey is, so you want to study about students' behavior in the class or something like that, students thing. You can just take a pilot survey from your own class, taking 25 students and doing a pilot survey. Instead of taking 500 students, you can take 25 students and do a preliminary survey, and then you can go in for other surveys and all that. Then to understand the origin and nature clearly. So you have to understand what is the where the problem started. So to understand the problem, you need to know how it started and all that. So this is very, very important in your research thing. Then, as I said earlier, surveying literature, I will tell you when we are doing the paper thing. Okay. So all this is very, very important. Now I'll just show you an illustration here. I'll just show you an example. Just tell me whether we can take up a topic like that. Now say, for example, this is an issue. Why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? So now you want to take up a research work regarding this, whether this kind of a research work can be taken. I'm just asking you all a question. So you are taking an issue like this. Why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? So when you take like this, what is that? See, I'll show you the next one, you will understand. Is there any ambiguities in it? Ambiguities means something that can be understood in more than one way. Why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India means what is lacking here, I will tell you in the next slide. Now, why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? What sort of productivity they are telling here? We have to tell that, no, whether we are talking about agriculture, we are talking about industry. What is this mentioned? Nothing is here. Then what time period is given? So all this is missing in this. So this is not the right method of giving your research one. I mean, you cannot do this. So how you can do it? What factors were responsible for the higher labor productivity of Japan's manufacturing industries during the decade 1981 to 91 related to India's manufacturing industries? Now, you see here, you know, higher, you're talking about higher labor productivity, and you are talking about the manufacturing industries, then you are taking this particular year, and this is about the manufacturing industry. So everything clearly you have to mention. So now you can see, you in this particular thing itself, you will know what sort of research you're going to do. So you're going to do about labor productivity in this particular year in manufacturing industry in Japan. Whereas this question did not say anything about that. What is the productivity in Japan so much high? Why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? Nothing is seen here. So your question should be like this. Okay. So this is the right way of putting the research thing, what you're going to do, it has to be in the right one. Next is a research design. So when you do a research design, it has to be a step-by-step process, and the research problem should be handled efficiently. So that is what is very, very important in doing a research one. So selection of research design is very important. Methods adopted should be very important in it. Collect the details in collecting the data is very important. And the timeline required, the correct time the research study should be done, the techniques to be followed, methods to be analyzed, everything is very, very important. So what is the types of research design you have here is, see, you have a case study design. There are a number of ways in which the research can be done. Case study is which is very, very important one. See, this refers to a real or realistic situation. Say, for example, you want to study about an industry. Take the case of Nokia was there. Some industry you take, Hyundai is there. So you want to study how the workers in that particular factory are. So what will you do? You will take up that particular industry and do a analysis. So that is called as a case study. So what has happened there? Why is it happening? Why the labors are, how the labors are, whether they like that particular industry. There's so many things. So you do a case study. So this is an example for a case study. Intensive study you do about, that is what is a case study. So case study is something where intensive study is being done. Say, for example, you go to Nilgiri Hill. So there will be a group of tribal people, Irulas, and also all of them will be there. So you want to study how the tribal peoples are living there. So that is a case study. So this is how you take up a research work and do. So in-depth study is called as a case study. So you study about that particular group and all that. So this technique is usually used to narrow down a big problem into a small discrete one easily. So you have a cohort research design also, where you take only a group which have some commonality or similarity among them. That is what is called as a cohort research. Now, this is something which is different from case study, because case study, you will take a particular industry or a particular place and you do a research. Whereas here, the group itself will be the same. That is why you can see the picture. The cohort research design is that. Now, say, for example, a group of people. Now, in the medical research, they want to see how the cancer patients are, like if they want to find out something about cancer patients. So all of them will be a cancer patients only, all of them who are suffering from cancer. So usually in medical research, they will do it. Now, say, for example, you want to study only about students, you take only colleges, you take only college students, you want to study only about female students, you want to study about the girl students alone, so only the girls. So that is cohort studies. So it's a cohort means a group of people. So study about a group of people who are similar in all. So all of them are in the same age group, all of them are in the same college. So like that, a group of people with having similarities. So that is what is called as a cohort study. Then we have a descriptive design. So there is a kind of a descriptive design, like you want to identify how it happened, what happened, when did it happen, what kind of a solution you can give. So many things in a descriptive research it will come. So that is what is called as a descriptive research. So descriptive thing also can be done. It is usually what kind of calculations will be taken up is you usually do it with the help of frequencies, averages, statistic data. The basics of statistics will be used in the descriptive research. There's something called as inferential research also, where correlation, regression, all that will be used. So that is the difference between a descriptive research and an inferential. So descriptive is normally you use the basic one, basic statistics, whereas inferential you go into it, like the advanced part, correlation, OLS method, and so many things. Okay, then we have a cross-sectional design. Like cross-sectional design is variety of people you take. So you don't take the same group. Same group is a cohort research. You take variety of people here. That is called as a cross-sectional data. Cross-sectional is many individuals will be taken in a single point of time. So that is what is called as a cross-sectional data. Cross-sectional, you have longitudinal studies also. Like you have, see, I'll just show you an example of this cross-sectional and longitudinal. Cross-sectional, different groups of people will be taken at the same time. And here, same group of people will be compared over time. Now, say, for example, when I'm telling you in your college, you take different departments and you analyze something, like say for example you just ask them whether what kind of food they want to have in the lunch period. You give some options like biryani and whatever, noodles, something like that. So you take statistics, you take statistics students, you take commerce students, you take economics students, and all that. So different groups of students are taken at the same time. Now same thing, longitudinal is what I'm telling you all to do a same thing, like analyze, study about the preference of lunch during the lunch period, what kind of food they want to have, only with commerce students. So all group one, all are commerce students. So like that you take and you do compare it over a period of time. So over a period of time is, now you will take today, then after 5 days also you will take, after 10 days you want to take. So like that you take and you'll come to a conclusion. Many of them want to have only vegetable biryani on during lunchtime. So you will come to a conclusion. So like that, cross-sectional and longitudinal is different. So then come to descriptive and analytical. Descriptive, I told you. So you take the basics of statistics like mean, median, mode, and do a research. Analytical is you go deeper into it. Now I'll tell you an example for this also. Now say if you want to study about child obesity, generally you will take some students and you will say, okay, there is go to a school and you identify there is child obesity. So you will just give a descriptive study. That's all. You will study only so many students are affected with this obesity. But analytical study is why there is child obesity. What is the reason? What kind of a problem they face? Lot of things you will analyze. That is the difference between a descriptive and an analytical one. So the same problem, see, the problem is the same, child obesity, but in a lighter manner, you do it with a small statistical thing or a basic thing that is called as a descriptive one. But when you want to do it in depth of it, that is called as an analytical study. So then we have an exploratory design also. Exploratory design here is nothing but some research where nobody has done. So no one has done on a particular research means that is called as an exploratory design. So someone want to study about COVID and women who are affected because of COVID, domestic violence and during COVID period. So that and all is something research which not been done earlier, right? So 5 years before itself, nobody knows about COVID. So that is called as an exploratory design. So that is one important thing you should understand. So I think I have told you about the basics of research, the basic the data collection methods, then the basic research designs to be followed, the basic research problem. Actually, you have more and more deep into it you can go, but I have just given you the basic concepts because you all are UG students. Now we'll move on to the next part of my lecture. This is about writing a research paper. See, this is very, very important. So what a research paper should contain. Now you can see this particular slide. So this is what is actually required to write a very good research paper. A proper title, abstract, introduction, review of literature, research question or otherwise called as a research issue, objectives of the study, otherwise called as the aims of the study, methodology of the study, otherwise called as a research design. Then you go into the discussion about your paper, you give the results and discussion after this, or instead of the results, you give the findings of the paper, and then you give the suggestions, recommendations, policy implications. Then you conclude your paper, and finally you have to give your references or otherwise called as a bibliography. So these are the important contents of your research paper. So your research paper, you want to publish it in an article means, I mean, as an article in a journal means, you must have all this. So title, abstract, introduction, review of literature, research question, otherwise called as a research issue, objectives or otherwise called as the aims of your study, then research design, which is nothing but your methodology, discussion, findings, suggestions, conclusion, the references. Okay, so first is selecting a topic. So first of all, when you select a topic, I told you, how do you select a topic? You take a research problem, you take a research issue, give a good title. So that will be your first and foremost thing, giving a good title. Now you may wonder why ma'am is telling about title here. See, title plays a very important role because title will tell everything. Title will tell everything. So title is very, very important because with the title itself, you will know what your paper is all about. So that is why telling title is very, very important. So can your title be too lengthy one like this, what I've given? Can it be like this? A study to investigate the importance of organic farming and to identify the various problems leading to failure of organic farming and policy implication? No, not at all. Your title should not be like this. For your kind information, you should never give a very, very lengthy topic because it should be very I mean, your title should be concise. You have to give a lot of information in few words. That is what is a correct way of giving a title. So descriptive way it should be. So that is what is title you have to give like that. So your title should be very informative, a catchy title, but at the same time, don't give a big lengthy title for your thing. So titles can be with few words and better words. You have to use it as I said earlier. Your contents of what you're going to give it in your paper should be there in your title. Sometimes your title will be something and what you're given in your paper is absolutely something different, means it doesn't, it's not a good research paper. So from title itself, it should be very effective. So avoid using abbreviations. I think what you all know what is abbreviations. I'll give you an example also. So always create a title with a positive impact that will, people want to really want to read your particular paper. So you have to see that way. Say I told you, abbreviations can be avoided. Say for example, importance of CSR for a private company like CSR, all of you know, but corporate social responsibility, then socio-economic conditions. These are just examples I'm showing you all. workers in Kandla SEZ. Yes, we know SEZ is special economic zone. GDP is gross domestic product. But what if a science professor wants to read your paper, or a science graduate person want to read a paper? They will be wondering what is CSR. So avoid giving abbreviations in your title. So your title, no, mostly you don't give abbreviations. Correct grammar, correct verbs, correct pronouns. So impact on, effect of. So like that, effect on, it will not come. So you have to use the proper grammar and all that properly. So avoid using study of, analysis of, investigation of, report. So these words can be avoided in your title, because these words, no, actually don't contribute anything to your particular thing. So when you say report on and investigation, you're not doing any investigating something, no? Like in commerce, economic students, we normally don't investigate something. So it should not be like that. We usually, what we do, we show the impact of something or effect of something like that. You have to think about, rather than giving a title like this. See, an analysis of food production intangibly. What is that analysis actually? What analysis is what you're going to do? You have to mention that. So this kind of topic should be avoided. Now, a study of health status again. See, this is a broader way of explaining your topic. I told you earlier itself, never going for a broader aspect. You try to narrow your topic. That is very, very important. So this is a very broad one. What health status you're going to do for a woman? This is again, analysis is what analysis? Now say, I'll give you another example. I told you, see, organic farming in India means, this is again, I'm not telling the title is wrong, the title is right. But here again, it is a broader aspect. Organic farming in India, when I tell to a student to do, a student will, like India is as a whole country, she has to take. So there are so many things like that. Now you take this particular topic, organic farming in Tamil Nadu, prospects, problems, and suggested policy implications. So this is how you have to prepare your title. So you can prepare an organic farming in Tamil Nadu. You can study that particular thing. You will find out the prospects of organic farming. You will study the problems faced in organic farming. You will give the suggestions. So all this is mentioned in your title. Whereas when I said this is all mentioned here, no, it is not mentioned. So it is suitable for a book. Now, when you write a book, you can keep a title like this. But for a research paper, you should be specific in what you're going to do. So this is how you have to give a title. Again, I told you, this is a broader one, health status of women. But it can be like this, an analysis. Again, this is not right because you're using the word analysis of health status of women with some selected indicators. So how it can be then, how a corrected verb, a comparison on health status of women in Tamil Nadu and Kerala with selected indicators. So now you know you're going to compare Tamil Nadu and Kerala taking selected indicators, because health means there are lots. There are life expectations, there are infant mortality, there are maternal mortality, there are crude birth rate, crude death rate. So all that cannot be taken. You take only selected indicators. So this is how it has to be. So as I told you, this kind of topic like organic farming in Tamil Nadu, health status of women, all this can be a title of a book. So because in book you have different chapters, right? So you can keep it for a book, not for a project proposal or not for a paper and all that. And generally, even the time, period need not be mentioned in the title. Now, say for example, foreign direct investment, its impact on India's GDP, but I have written it as gross domestic product and trends, because I told you don't give abbreviation, and trends from 2000 to 2018. So it's not necessary that you have to mention the years in it. So it can be like this: income inequality in India, its implication on the economy, and some suggestions. So you're going to study about income inequality. You're going to show its implications on the economy, and you're also going to give the suggestion. Now you take this particular topic, gender inequality in education and its effect on poverty in rural Tamil Nadu. Now, what is that you're going to show in your paper? What is that you're going to study in your paper? You're going to study about gender inequality. In what? In education. And what you're going to study, its effect on the poverty in the rural area. You're going to take only the rural area in Tamil Nadu. See, so many things are involved in this particular topic. So you have to write a topic like this. So that is why I'm telling you. You'll be wondering so many points to be remembered while writing a title. Yes, because title tells all. As I told you, your title itself will tell what kind of a paper you're going to do. Then you can avoid unnecessary words like jargon words means what? Very difficult words and all that. So you can avoid all that in your title and all that. So title with a question, again, title with a question and all that is not required. So coming to the next one, so I told you how to write a title. Next, coming to the abstract. So how to write an abstract? Abstract is what, first of all? See, abstract is nothing but it is a short summary of your paper. So the entire paper, you write it in few words. Say, for example, 200 words, 500 words. So some journals will always specify, give an abstract for 500 words. So you have to write a small paragraph about what is there in your paper. Okay, so that is called as an abstract. So it is nothing but what we call it as a gist of paper, we'll tell you, no? So that is what is an abstract or an essence of the paper. So you write the detailed information, analysis and arguments on the paper. Then information found in most abstracts is what actually you know about it, the previous research, everything you will mention in the abstract. Then think about these questions. Actually, what you will be doing it in the abstract is, are you going to examine a new topic? Why is this topic you've selected worth examining? Are you going to fill a gap in previous research? Are you applying new methods? All this should be there in your abstract. So when you answer all these questions, your abstract is over. So whether the topic what you're taking is worth examining, worth doing it, why are you doing it? Are you filling the gap of the previous research? So all this, when you write, your abstract is over. So the results, what you will be finding, the results, the significance, the implications, everything should be given in your abstract. But certain things should not be there in your abstract. Say, for example, something new information which is not present in your paper should not be there in your abstract. Okay, something which you are not going to give, no, it should not be mentioned. So abstract is what is there mentioned in your paper only should be there. Then some undefined abbreviation, you're giving an abbreviation like this, HDI. You have to say what is that, Human Development Index. So don't give an undefined abbreviation in your abstract. Your abstract should be defined with abbreviations and all that. So when you give abbreviation, you state what it is. Then unnecessary details, unnecessary methods which is not being used in your paper, all this should not be there in your abstract. Whatever is there in your paper only should be given in your abstract. What is not there in your paper, not found, not given, should not be given in your abstract. So this is what is your abstract. What is keywords? After abstract, you have to write keywords in it. So keywords are the words that capture the essence of your paper. So what is normally there in the paper, no, the keywords, the important words, the important concepts of your research should be given in your keywords. Now, the journals usually ask keywords also. Write 250 words of abstract and give 2 to 3 keywords or 5 keywords. Normally, they will ask the keywords. So you can write the keywords wherever it is required. Sometimes if they have not asked, means no need, but usually they will ask the keywords. Keywords are very, very important. So keywords should contain words and phrases that suggest what the topic is all about. So now say, for example, I'm just giving you an example. If the paper is about heart disease, definitely you have to use words like stroke, circulatory system, blood, etc. This is for science, but let us see, say, for example, if it is an economics paper on agriculture, then definitely farmers will come. Then crop, then production or yield. All these are your keywords. So that is how you have to find out the keywords and exactly you have to give the keywords. Then coming to the introduction of the paper, which is very, very important. So introduction is an engine of your paper. It should not be lengthy. Remember, don't write a lengthy introduction. Don't write pages and pages of introduction. Introduction should be very brief, should be filled with a lot of proofs. Wherever necessary, give source. Source is very essential. Now, when I say the population is so much in the year 2011, from where I've taken? I have taken from census report 2011. So mention that. That is very, very important in your introduction or wherever you're giving. And your introduction should be simple, should be focused on study alone. When I talk about gender disparity, my topic is gender disparity. No need to talk about women in 19th century, what happened, women, what they were doing in 18th century. All that is not. Focus straight away on gender gap and give the what our introduction means, what are you going to do, what already is known about the topic, what has not been answered in the previous research, how will this research add to the knowledge. So all put together is your introduction. So remember, your introduction is all this. So not more than this. Why is this an important area you've chosen? So are there any different viewpoints? What is the current status about this? All this you have to be given in your introduction. So your introduction generally covers a general statement, a research problem, the importance of the study, then the key indicators. So key indicators are otherwise called as the variables. So this is what your introduction should follow. See, this is an example. Now, my topic I have done for one particular research paper is gender gap in social indicators in rural Tamil Nadu. So how will my introduction? So in the introduction, I will first start with the meaning of gender gap, definition of gender gap. So this is my general statement. Then I told you the research problem, no? So what is my research problem? So the gender disparity is prevailing in the rural areas of Tamil Nadu. So that is my research problem. So that is the reason I have taken this particular study. So I will mention that. Then importance. So importance about gender disparity. Now, why should I do a paper on gender disparity? Because it is very important to study about the gender gap. Then key indicators or variables taken. So in my study, what and all variables I've taken: gender disparity in education, health, gender disparity work participation. So all these are my variables. So all this should be mentioned. So introduction on the whole, what you want to do, what necessitates the study. This is what is introduction. Next, coming to review of literature, which is very, very important. As I told you earlier, you have to justify your research. You take the study which is being done by earlier past research, evaluate that. Then you show the gap in the research. So what is not being done by the past, you are going to do. So all this should be there if you write your literature. So step by step, how can you write the review of literature is, you take a paper that is being done by, say the same gender gap is the one particular review you have to write. Means you take a paper, that has been published by someone, say for example Agarwal. So that paper you will take. First you will write the name of the author, Agarwal, year 2020, article title, gender disparity in Mumbai, study done. So like that, some article title. Then what is the objective or aim of that particular paper you have studied? You write that objective. Then methodology that has been adopted. You write the methodology. Then findings of the paper. Then come to the conclusion. So all together, when you write it in a paragraph, your review is ready. So first you write the author's name, year, article title, objective and aim of the paper, methodology that is being used in the paper, findings of the paper, and conclusions of the paper. So when you write all this, your review is ready. So review is very, very important. After collecting all the reviews, you can classify your review of literature, like all international studies, all national studies, and all state-specific studies. So you classify your studies like this and give it in your review of literature. So when I did my study on gender gap, I classified it as international studies on gender gap, national studies on gender gap, and state-specific studies on gender gap. So this is So this is how this is an example. Next is your research question. So I told you, no, research question very important. What, how, where, why, all these questions. Yes, research question is also very, very important. Now, some of you will ask, why should I give research question in my paper? Research question is very important because, say, for example, anything you start with an answer, no, it is very difficult. When you ask a question and write, it becomes very easier. Now, I'll give you an example. Now, I'm telling you all to write a research proposal about gender gap. I'm telling you all, whole class, you all write about gender gap. You will be wondering what to write. So ma'am is telling us to write a research paper on gender gap. Gender gap is such a huge thing, you know, what and all will write. You will be confused as to what to write here. So now, when I ask you the question, to what extent there is a gender gap in rural area, you can write this because there is a question that is asked. Which are the rural area in Tamil Nadu where the gender gap is high? What are the reasons for gender gap in rural Tamil Nadu? What policy implications? So when the question is being asked, it is easy for you to give the answer. So that is why we are telling research question is very, very important. So always ask a research question so that you can answer these questions. That is why we are telling you to give a research question in your paper. Coming to objectives. Objective is also a very important one because you are answering your research question here. Now, when it comes to objective, use the correct and accurate concepts. So because you are preparing objective of your paper, what you're going to do and all that. So your objective should be very, very, very important one. You can give so many objectives also, like 5, 6, 7, 8 objectives, 9 objectives. But remember, all the objectives should be given, explained in your paper. So it's always better. Can you hear now? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the PPT seen, Mary Dina?
No, ma'am. We are not
Okay.
able to see.
I think it's 1 second.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
It's seen now.
Yes, ma'am. It is
Oh,
visible.
thank you, thank you, thank you. So how can you frame your objective is, first you give a general objective, you give a specific objective, you give an analyzing the objective, policy implications, suggestions, then explain it in a clean manner. So this is how you can frame an objective. So I'll give an example for this also. See, I have given an example. This is my paper, how I've given example. So first is an overview about the current status of gender gap, then identifying the rural area in Tamil Nadu, that is a specific objective, then the reasons for gender gap in the study area, that is analyzing objective. Finally, arrive at relevant policy implication. It can be policy implication, suggestion, recommendation, anything. So this is all about your objective. Then is your methodology. Methodology is like a heart. Why I have given this picture is, so for our human being, heart is very important. The same thing for your research paper, methodology is very, very, very important. So methodology is, you give whether your data will be collected in a primary manner or a secondary manner, appropriate research technique should be followed, how your data processing is, how you have done your analysis, all that should be mentioned in your methodology. So some strong methodology will have some important headings, like you have the proper research design, whether it is primary or secondary, then where you are collecting the data, whether it is NSS or census report and all that. And then the methods, how you plan, that is very, very important. The population you're taking, the sample size you're taking, whether it is 10%, usually you go in for a 10% proportion of sample chosen. So that should be mentioned. So data collection, data analysis, you use a software, which is very, very important one, whether it is SPSS or eViews, whatever. and then your paper will have a discussion about your paper, whatever topic you've done, you discuss it, then you find out the results and discussion or findings, then you give suggestions, policy, implication and all that. Coming to the conclusion part, this part is very, very important because whatever you have done in your paper, you have to bring it in your conclusion. Say, new observation, new interpretation, new insights about your thing, everything you summarize and give it as a conclusion, which is very, very important in your paper. So always conclude your study about this, like contributing new knowledge about your paper, then what are the future avenues about your study. So all this can, in this way, you can conclude your paper. Then finally, the references, or otherwise called as a bibliography. So it has to be in an order, like whatever books you have taken for reference, then you take the journals, you give the journals, you give the reports, the say census report and all that. You must have seen some newspapers, you give the newspaper, say Hindu, all that you have to give. The reference is very important, plus the websites also, wherever you have to provide the link here. Remember, that is very important. The link and accessing date, everything should be mentioned. This is how the proper references should be given. And the references can be in an MLA format or an APA format. This is not whichever journal you're publishing a paper, they will tell you it has to be in this manner. Say, for example, I've just given you an example here. This is how the references will be: the author's name, the title they've given, page number also should be given, the year, the date. See, finally, you can see all the page numbers, because you have taken from this particular journal is very, very important with the date, what to say, the year and the page number is very, very essential. So, points to note to write a proper research paper is: don't repeat your point in your paper. When you're writing a research paper, don't repeat the points. Then give positive statements, and don't give very difficult statements and all that, difficult words and all that. So finally, I want to tell you all one thing: the best research paper is when you don't do a plagiarism. Stop plagiarism. Plagiarism is you don't just cut, copy, paste for your paper, because easily it will be identified. Now they have plagiarism checker, so they will identify it. Don't cut, copy, paste. Your own idea should be written. Even if there are some grammatical errors, no problem, but give your own ideas, your own thing. Wherever you have taken, say I told you, some report, you have taken some data, you show the source as taken from economic survey, taken from, you have to just bring it in the source, you put it in a bracket and tell census report or NSSO report or something like that. So don't ever plagiarize. I mean, there should not be any plagiarism, no cut, copying, paste and all that. So this is what is my suggestion to you all. To do a research paper, all these things you should follow. So best wishes to all of you. So I think I have just told you how to write a research paper and all that. So Mary, Dinah and other faculty members.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The students have any questions or anything they can ask.
And if you have any queries, please feel free to ask, ma'am. Or any doubts if you have, yes, we can discuss with ma'am.
Hello. Good morning, ma'am. Malati, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. This is Anuradha heading the department. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes.
Ma'am, we have a question in the chat box, ma'am. The question is, what are the benefits we get by publishing a paper? Aditya has asked it.
Yeah, very good question. See, what are the benefits you have here is, now when you want to do a research, now you want to do a MPhil, now of course MPhil, leave MPhil, you want to do a PhD and all that, no? So that time the research paper will give you a lot of exposure. So your thesis will be based on your research, means it will be even more important, because you will know what kind of methodology is adopted, you will know how to do the analysis part, you will know how to write the references, you know how to do a review of literature. So writing and publishing paper is always the best thing. Students sometimes they want to take up research associate post, or they want to take up research fellow in for project and all that. So when they do a paper like this, it will be very useful for them to do this, when they go in for as a research associate, research fellow, or to do a higher study for doing for doing the PhD program and all that. So this is very, very important. Research publication is always very, very important for the students, especially I'm talking about students who want to take up further research activities for them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes,
we'll.
Yes, ma'am. Shreya?
Yes.
Yes, Shreya.
Shreya?
1 minute, ma'am.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. K. Malti, ma'am, presently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Economics in the University of Madras, was formerly a faculty in the Department of Economics, Ethiraj College for Women, Chennai. Her specialization is development economics, environmental economics, Indian economics, and research methodology. She has done her post-graduation and young full research work in University of Madras in regular stream. She has done her PhD in economics from Presidency College, Chennai. She has 10 years of experience in economics as an assistant professor in Ethiraj College for Women. Ma'am has published six publications and has given research guidance in economics to several students. Ma'am has presented papers in various seminars, symposiums, and conferences. Now I request Rana to render oath of thanks.
Ma'am, I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Yeah.
A very good morning to all. It's given me an immense pleasure to deliver the oath of thanks for the research orientation program. I would like to thank our guest, the speaker of the day, Dr. K. Malati ma'am, for taking out time from her busy schedule and enlightening us with their knowledge. In today's session, we have mentioned what should have been taken and not. It also provides us a deep insight about research and designing it. Thank you so much for that, ma'am. I would like to thank our HOD, Dr. Anuradha ma'am, faculty members of BCom General, and last but not the least, students of BCom General for making a section as a success. Once again, I thank one and all present here. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you so much for your presence today, ma'am.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity, and I'm sure all the students will take up the research paper and publish it. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you very
ma'am.
much. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's a
I'll
blessing
leave,
hearing
okay?
to you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.